Today we have an extremely special guest. He's famous, he's funny, he's a doctor. His name online is Dr. Glaucomflecken. So let's look at his bio. Dr. Will Flanary, also known as Dr. Glaucomflecken, is an ophthalmologist, comedian, and social media satirist who blends humor with medicine to entertain and educate millions. A two-time testicular cancer survivor and sudden cardiac arrest survivor, Dr. Flanary uses comedy to navigate life's challenges and highlight the absurdities of the US healthcare system. With over 3 million followers across platforms, his sharp-witted sketches on medical culture, specialty stereotypes, and hospital bureaucracy have made him a beloved voice in healthcare. Along his side, his wife, Kristen, also known as Lady Glaucomflecken, he advocates for patient care, medical education, and caregiver support. Are you ready? Let's meet Dr. Glaucomflecken. And I just love to see you, you're smiling. So thank you so much for joining me today. But your alias, Glaucomflecken, because I'm an ophthalmologist, I know what that is. I know it's a glaucoma finding, right? But boy, that sucker is a tongue twister, even for ophthalmologists. So how'd you pick that name?
Have you ever seen Glaucomflecken, like actual Glaucomflecken on an exam?
No. Have you?
No.
It's like imaginary. It's kind of like the tooth fairy, right?
Does this thing actually exist? I don't know. I don't know. I was just trying to. I knew this social media account was going to be, ophthalmology based because I was an ophthalmology resident. So like that's all I could think about at the time was like ophthalmology. And so I was like, oh, what's the most the silliest word in the whole field of ophthalmology? And it was like that was a slam dunk. That was easy, right? I probably should have chosen something that was easier to say, but I'm stuck with it now. So what are you going to do?
I think it's genius because this is one of the words that is funny and it fits your personality because you are incredibly funny, but you also, touch on political topics. But let's go back to 6th grade because your mom apparently kicked you out of her class because you were too funny. Did you think that attitude or demeanor would get you this far?
To be fair, she kicked me out because I was disrupting the class, I would say, but with my humor. And we laugh about that now. But man, she was kind of irritated with me. It's a good lesson for everyone. Like don't especially in like junior high, maybe high school, elementary, don't have your parent as like a teacher in like public school. It doesn't go well. There's some conflicts there that can rear their ugly heads, but it worked out okay. And I'd always, from an early age, loved making my friends laugh, loved making people laugh, and so I didn't know it would turn into something serious until I started going to comedy clubs as a high school senior with a friend of mine. We were going in comedy clubs around Houston. And some of them were not real comedy clubs. They're like bars that just happen to have like one open mic a month. And it was like an audience of 3 or 4 drunk people. So it wasn't always like the most exciting environment to do stand-up comedy, but we had a good time doing it. And that's like really where I got the bug to keep doing comedy. But still always had my eye on medicine. That was really where I wanted to be. So never really considered stand-up comedy as a viable career choice. Could I have made it? Maybe. That's a hard road. I mean, medicine's a hard road too, but man, those stand-up comedy, they struggle. It's a lot of travel, it's hard to have a meaningful, like, personal life, like, outside of comedy. And so, I don't know, I think I ended up in the right place.
Absolutely, man, because you got a nice, income as an eye surgeon, ophthalmologist.
The thing. That's the thing. It's like, what I love about doing it this way is that I'm free from the burden of having to make comedy like my primary source of income. Now that's also like a bit of it's like a double-edged sword a bit, because I think that the drive to have to make a living and provide for you and your family makes you better, right? It's like, if I don't make it, if I don't do it, if I don't succeed, like, it's not just going to affect me, it's going to affect people I love. And so if I really wanted to make a big name for myself in like the general, world of comedy, I would have had to just quit my day job as an ophthalmologist and just do comedy. That's when you really start to go higher. But so that's why I've always thought of it as a hobby, even though now it's basically like a second career.
Absolutely, man. Okay, so Malcolm Gladwell says you need 10,000 hours to become an expert. So now I see where you got those 10,000 hours to be funny. Because I try to be funny and my kids are like, Dad, you're not funny. And I'm like, hey, it's funny if it's funny. And they're like, you're not funny. But you're
Depends on how old your kids are. Depends on how old your kids are.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, my kids still, they're 10 and 13. The 13-year-old, I'm not as funny as I used to be. So, it gets harder.
Yeah, mine oldest is 28 now. But this is beautiful because this leads to the next topic I want to talk about. Because when I was at Iowa, I started I-Rounds, and it was a fight with the faculty. You remember Dr. Hayray? So Dr. Hayray, yeah, so he's sitting in the back. He's like, you cannot publish on the internet without a peer-reviewed process. So I created a peer-reviewed process at Iowa for I-Rounds. So I recruited them as faculty to be part of the board of review. But the internet exploded I-Rounds. So now the internet's exploding. Social media is exploding you as a comedian. So you can actually have a day job as a doctor, and then your side gig is now, like you said, referred to as a second job. So did you even realize that was possible to blend all this together, as an eye surgeon, comedy, and then to resonate with such a huge audience?
Not in this way, no. I always saw it as just an outlet, like just a way to still be in medicine, be a practicing physician, but still, because, as a physician, I can't go out and do open mics and comedy sets and feature spots at like midnight on a random Thursday, right? And so social media was just a surrogate for comedy. It allowed me to still, flex that comedy muscle and still have that creative outlet outside of medicine, even though I made jokes just about medicine, but still, it just, I still have to continue that. I just didn't know where it was going to go. And I've never been like a super future oriented person. Like, I knew I wanted to be an eye doctor at some point, but as far as the comedy goes, like I didn't think, oh, in 10 years, I think I can really make something out of this. It wasn't until the pandemic hit, really, when I started making video content, and everybody was on social media all the time, even more than they are now, like much more. That it started to gain traction, and people in medicine in particular really needed an outlet for humor.
And that's how Dr. Mike actually launched his career as well, right? So during the pandemic, he's a younger doctor than we are, but he is, just huge, 10 million followers. But you're at 3 million followers, with all your platforms, and, you're doing fantastic.
5 now, actually, 5.
Wow.
Yeah, it keeps going. It keeps, I think all the there are like certain things that happen in the world that all of a sudden shine more light on my social media platforms, and like most recently it's been like United Healthcare. So
absolutely,
like,
right?
I'm so thankful for like just everybody that follows me and watches my stuff. I'm very thankful for that. It's humbling to have.
And for those who are watching, yes, you are funny. Yes, you are a comedian, but you are spot on about your insights, about the intricacies and the bureaucracy of healthcare and insurance. I mean, that's the one reason, insurance and dealing with that bureaucracy, 2 reasons why I stayed in the Navy as an ophthalmologist, right? I came, so when I see your videos, I'm like, yep, that's why I'm staying in. Yep, I'm going to stay in. I'm not going to leave.
Right. I'm sure you probably have your own bureaucracy, though, that you have to deal with.
We do now. Right? We do now, because the military contracts out. And so basically they manage now TRICARE patients. So when I send a referral, no longer was it a TRICARE office that automatically just send people because I said they need to be seen. Now they're like, you need to see your primary care. And I'm like, wait a minute, I am the primary care for the eye. So what,
Right.
why do
Yeah.
I need to send them to primary care who's never seen them or know what, psoriatic iritis is, who's never seen inflammation in the eye. So yeah, there is some stuff, but you know what? It's not as much as what you deal
Oh,
with.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, because you got
Yeah.
like 30 of those, right? 30 different versions of those insurance policies that you have to deal with.
Oh yeah, and it's what makes it it's what has made it so hard for smaller private practices to keep going because I'm fortunate I'm in a big private practice. We have like 30 something MDs,
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
but we have to hire people like to do the prior authorization. Like that's like their job, and it just speaks to how inefficient our healthcare system is. That you have to do that. Otherwise, it's hard to even just keep going because you have all these other jobs you can do in addition to seeing patients.
Okay, so let's talk about this, right? You have to hire people. You have to hire, that's costs more revenue, costs, more overhead,
Yeah,
but your reimbursements are actually decreasing. So for example, cataract surgery back in like 1980s were like almost $2,000 per eye. Now they're like $600. In some states they're like less than 600. I mean, what the right?
yeah, it's tough. I mean, you see more patients, right? You do more premium services for people. Like, unfortunately, with innovation, like we're able to offer some of those things. But yeah, you got to find other ways to keep your practice afloat.
Or join a herd of ophthalmologists and you cost share,
Yeah.
right? I mean, all
Well,
you guys
yeah,
are,
look, you got economies of scale, right?
yeah.
And which is exactly why all these these big corporations are consolidating. They're
Mhm.
consolidating hospitals. They're buying up smaller practices and turning them into retina associates or whatever it is, because that's like becoming the only way to have a highly profitable practice is just by getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's I don't think that's sustainable.
And
I
Dr.
really,
Flanary, that's why you're blessed with 5 million followers, because when you're sick of all that crap, you can always go full time. And that's why I started building my channel, because I figured, okay, I got about 10 years left before all this stuff's going to crash. And then I'm just going to full time
yeah,
YouTuber.
yeah. I'm trying to stay, optimistic about healthcare. It's becoming harder and harder every year, and I think we do have a crisis of private practice, like because it's for decades it was like in rural communities and smaller. You get outside of the big metro areas, and the population relies on those private practice docs. And you're just having less and less of those because decreasing reimbursement, just things you just mentioned. It's so hard now to keep that going and to even want to convince graduating residents to come and join a small private practice. Like it's scary to graduates, and they see they get told by whatever it is, other like PE owned organizations or places like Kaiser or even like Optum owned hospitals that they offer this big salary. You're like, oh, look at the safety of the big salary. But it's we're going away from private practice, and it's a combination of things that I think it's bad news for healthcare.
If any doctor who can make this successful with all these like bureaucracy and just BS out there, I think it's you, because you're very optimistic, and I see that in your life, right? Because your testicular cancer is
Yeah, gotta be.
twice. I mean, that's a double. You're a young guy for that, and then on top of
Yeah.
that, your wife had to give you CPR, and you were literally probably flatlined for more than 5 minutes.
Oh, at over 10 minutes, actually. Yeah, she did 10 minutes of chest compressions,
Yeah,
but then,
you're a friggin'
yeah,
miracle. So we go to CPR class, right? And I have to do that every year, and so do you, right? The statistics. We got to tell people what is the statistics of people surviving CPR, or with CPR. It's
so
dismal.
out
It's
of hospital, yeah, out of hospital cardiac arrest, you got a 10% chance of
That's right.
surviving.
You are a walking miracle. Maybe that made you funnier. But what you did was you took those life experiences, and instead of being all depressed and being
Yeah,
Eeyore like, you actually made it into humor, and now you're just like, how do you do that? How do you take that like negativity and the darkest moments and healthcare bureaucracy and all that crap and make it into these like golden nuggets in your life that can be funny and people can digest and learn from it?
It's a coping mechanism, right? And so many of us in healthcare there's so many difficult aspects of our job. Not just the bureaucracy of healthcare, but also just the actual healthcare delivery, taking care of people. It can be really hard to some of the conversations we have to have, the situations we have to deal with patients, and over the years, the biggest, the most common feedback I receive from people who come up and meet me is that I help them get through a difficult time in their life, just by telling jokes, just by making fun of orthopedic surgeons or whatever it is, So, it seems like for a long time, in my mind, it's like, oh, it's just fun. Like it's a simple thing. Like I just like telling jokes. I underestimated what kind of effect it would have on people, and a big part of that is just the era that we're in with healthcare, with the pandemic, with just all the prior authorizations and everything that's happening in our healthcare system. That sometimes people just need to be able to laugh about these things because it gives you that a little bit of that serotonin, that you need to get through your day, and so I'm gonna keep doing it as long as it's fun. It's still fun for me. So
I see that. Yeah.
yeah, it's just it's the way I've always coped with things. All the kind of cancer, the cardiac arrest, it's like, well, these things happen. You're in a pretty terrible situation. Bad thing happened to you. What else are you gonna do, right? I have moments where I'm really down too, So you don't see everything on social media, and the cardiac arrest is coming back from that. It's there's a lot that goes into recovery, not just physical, but emotional, mental, with myself and with my family, and so there's a lot to it. But humor is a big part of it.
Yeah, let's talk about, the people in your life, like Kristen, Lady Glaucomflecken. You guys have a podcast together. She's been a great support for you. How has she played a role in supporting you and through all this stuff?
Man, just she's my biggest supporter, and honestly, we do a lot of advocacy together. And one thing people don't realize is with something like a cardiac arrest, it's often harder on the family members around the person who had the cardiac arrest. Because, I went to bed one night, I woke up in the ICU like 2 days later. I didn't have any underwear on. I didn't know what the hell was going on. She lived through every single second of that, of the resuscitation, of the on the phone with the dispatcher, of the people, the first responders getting there and bringing me back, of the time I was sedated in the hospital, not knowing if I'd survive. Like she was present and there for every single second. Like that is stress. That is horrible. That was very challenging to deal with. And so it's been hard on me personally, having that happen to me, but it's also been very hard on her. And so we support each other. We have this platform. We do a lot with it. We do a lot of advocacy work, but we also try to help each other and just be there for each other as a married couple with kids, and we're all trying to just get through this together, and in the best way we can. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys are thriving. You're not just getting through it, because obviously I want people to go see your podcast. I'll put the links down in the description for people, as well as your YouTube channel and your social media platforms and your website. I mean, you guys are doing fantastic, right? You guys are bonding. All these experiences have actually brought you closer as a couple, and you can see that as you interact with each other in what you do.
I'm very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah. So you also, your content often highlights the absurdities and inefficiencies of the US healthcare system, okay? Have you faced any pushback from the medical community on this or about what you do? And then how do you balance all this, with patients? Because you're the satirical voice for reform, how do you balance that when patients come in and they know you and other doctors know you?
I'm not. I haven't gotten any. So as far as pushback on the healthcare stuff, I get pretty much universal acclaim from like the actual healthcare workers, the people who are actually doing the work of healthcare. I have gotten a little bit of pushback from the insurance companies. A couple of them have, you know, not I haven't not anything as serious as like a cease and desist thing, but more like somebody who knows somebody there told me that they were not happy with me and wanted so this video taken down or wanted, didn't want me to keep making videos. And so nothing directly from them. I know that they're not happy with me though, which
Hmm.
good. Like if I'm not doing anything else, at least I'm making them mad, you know. Um, but and that it just speaks to where people are at with our healthcare system right now that I basically have a 100% approval rating on all of these videos about the U.S. healthcare system because everyone agrees.
That's
We
amazing.
may disagree on like how to fix it, but we all know that it's a broken system. And part of what I just try to do is make sure people know what the problems are. I don't know. I've got some ideas of how to fix it, but if I can at least make sure everyone knows that this what a pharmacy benefit manager is, or just letting them know that there's a ban on physician-owned hospitals as part of the Affordable Care Act,
Hmm.
or that insurance companies are using AI to automatically deny claims, like stuff like that. That they don't want people to know. If I can at least use my platform to just educate people, that is the first step of advocacy, of making people that you can't fix problems if you don't know what the problems are. And so that's why a big part of my advocacy efforts are just with education, just showing people these are what the problems are. And people love it. I've got patients that anytime a patient has seen. Now, granted, most of my patients are not the TikTok generation, right? Mostly a lot of 80s and 90s. Not exactly spending a lot of time on social media, I would say.
Yeah, they're on AOL.com.
Yeah. And so, but the ones that do recognize me, it's always a fun conversation. They love the content. It's always a good time. So I've never been felt like I was in danger of like losing my ophthalmology job or something because I'm just telling the truth. I'm just making it funny, and people can react how they want to react to it.
Yeah, so being a celebrity, you also have like live shows now because
True. Yeah.
yeah. So how was your last live show, and when's your next one?
Oh, it's great, man. We last year we did a small tours like 12 to or 15 shows, something like that. Because I do still occasionally have to practice ophthalmology, right? So I can't just spend all a year going around on tour. But sold out shows. We did mostly improv theater venues, so 400 to 500 seat typically. People came out, man. It's so much fun to
Congrats, man. That's awesome.
it's so much fun because the show we do it's called Wife and Death, and so Kristen and I, my wife, we do it together, and we basically go through the stories. It's like a combination of stand up and storytelling and Kristen's account of the cardiac arrest, which is extremely powerful. So there's tears, there's happy tears, there's sad tears, and lots of laughing and so we've just it's a multimedia experience too. I like dress up in costumes and stuff, so I kind of at times make a bit of a fool of myself, but that's okay. It comes to the territory. Our next show though is in our hometown of Portland. So we got a show July 20th at Revolution Hall in Portland. So anybody listening or who is in the Portland area or just in Oregon in general want to drive up to Portland, July 20th.
That's awesome. I grew up in the Portland area. I went to Reed
Oh, you
College.
did.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
I
All
grew up
right.
in I grew up in Aloha, Oregon. Near Beaverton.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
So,
We have an office there.
oh, that's awesome. So my wife was from. She grew up in Oregon too. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you're doing all this stuff, right? You're like live show. Okay, actually, before I go on,
Yeah.
are you doing the live show during the Iowa Eye coming up here in June?
So yeah, I'll be. Are you gonna go?
Yeah, baby, I saw your name on there. So
Oh
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm gonna go.
I'll be
Yeah.
there. I'll be there. I'm doing a. I'm gonna do like a 10-minute roast of Dr. Carter.
Oh, that's awesome. So Dr. Keith Carter was my program director before he became chairman.
Yeah.
So at that time, and then he handed over to Tom Oding as program director, and then he took chairman as Dr. Weingeist retired.
Yeah. So Keith Carter is a big name, huge name in ophthalmology, and he's finally retiring. Like he's finally hanging it up. And so the Iowa Eyes, the 100th anniversary of the department as a whole, and he's also we're kind of celebrating him, or at least I am, in the form of making fun of him.
I love
So
it. I love it. I love it. When were you at Iowa?
I was there 2014 to 2017.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I was there from '01 to '05.
we just barely missed each other.
Yeah, barely, just by a decade.
You know,
Darn it.
I didn't really. You started iRounds, is that what you said?
Yeah,
You know, I was editor in chief of iRounds for a
I
year.
know. I know.
Yeah.
That's why I knew your name. So I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. Yeah. So what I did with iRounds, just to real quick for let the people know. So this is when the internet became kind of big, and Amazon was like getting Kindle books and everything. So I went to the professors or the faculty and said, hey, we need to publish our rounds, our because we gave daily rounds, these presentations that were like 5-10 minutes, and every day the residents had to go up there and prepare these things, and I had tons of all these cases, and I'm like, this is wasteful. Let's make an internet site. So Tom Weingeist, or Dr. Weingeist at the time, gave me the keys to the web server. It goes, here you go, Andy. And I literally had the keys to the web Iowa or off, I think it's like ophthalmologywebI.edu domain. So I could have put porn or something on there. And then, so I called it iRounds. I didn't know what to call it. So I called it iRounds. And then I started posting posts, like
Yeah.
cases. But they didn't like my cases because they didn't look professional. I just wanted to show proof of concept. So Dr. Hayray was like, that's not academic publishing. So what I did was I formatted it into a blue journal, Journal of Ophthalmology format with the header and exactly like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it looks official. So I said, okay. I went to Allergan, got $20,000. I walked in one day with digital cameras for all the residents. And I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I got $5,000 of the cameras. I'm going to teach you how to use it, do slit lamp photography. We're going to take your rounds, and you're going to take photos of them on call, video, whatever. And we're going to make like the iWills manual and make this big and blow it up. And I can guarantee you people around the world will watch it, and they'll fly in, and we'll get more patients. And they're like, whatever, you're high. And I'm like, I don't care. I'll pay you $100 too, because I have $5,000 left from the first Allergan grant for every case you post. And they're like, okay. So that's how iRounds developed. And then
Wait a second. It was $100 per case back in what year was this?
2004.
Yeah, so it was like they didn't and they didn't up the price for like 20 years.
No, because you guys kept on doing it. It's slave labor. It's like the slaves will work for bread and water. So we'll continue giving them bread and water. Anyway,
That's
so
amazing. That's amazing though. Yeah,
so
I mean,
then,
it's an institution now. I mean, it's like a
yeah.
massive thing.
Will, it's amazing because I had the webmaster, and people from Saudi Arabia, around the world, were emailing
Yeah.
me to come to see cornea and retina and so forth. So they didn't go to the Will's Eye. They didn't go to Mass Eye in here. They didn't go to, Wilmer. They went to Iowa because they found it on the internet. And then when I was on mission in Jamaica, these Jamaican residents came up to me and goes, oh, you're the Dr. iRounds guy? He goes, we use that because that's the free textbook. Now
Yeah.
yes, so we have become the textbook, online textbook, and that was the vision. Because I saying, if we can do this for free, you can change the world. Exactly what you're doing is by educating people. And you know how this started also? You don't mind if I hijacked your time here?
Go for it. No,
Yeah.
please, I'm interested.
So I was, Jeff Nerad, was he there at the time? Okay.
He wasn't there, but I knew him.
Okay, yeah. So he wrote that oculoplastic textbook, the famous one, right? And the gray jacket one.
I still have it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we were at lunch, and I was telling them that my iRounds cases were generating revenue from his book. And he goes, how does that happen? I go, well, I link it to Amazon, and Amazon at that time paid me like 10%. So 10% of this $200 book was $20. He goes, I only make a few dollars from the publishers. That is when I knew I got it, because the publishers were taking advantage of the
Wow.
authors. We were giving them for free. So I came to them and said, Dr. Allward, you got to do this. They're ripping you off. And they didn't believe me because they thought the only way to publish was through all these famous medical publishers. So I proved to them the proof of concept. And now Dr. Allward has a world famous gonioscopy.org. He didn't go to a publisher. He became a self-publisher. And now
Yeah.
you're becoming a self-publisher on social media. And I'm bypassing all the publishers by doing what I'm doing here. So that I just wanted to share with you, since we had this commonality
No,
with Iowa.
no, absolutely. I love it. And it just speaks to the power of social media. It's really amazing what, and Tom Boding, he's got his, he's has a nice social media presence as well. It can really, it opens up a lot of doors for you because you're meeting people where they are. And especially now, it just gets more and more every year that people are getting their information on social media. And for better or worse, I mean, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of bad information out there. But that's exactly why we need more physicians talking about, giving trustworthy information and evidence-based, discussions and topics on social media to so that we can better educate the public.
And that's why I like what YouTube has done. If you look at down here in the
Yeah.
description, it says this is by licensed medical providers. And so Google actually looked at my medical license.
Yeah.
Now we have two doctors on here. So it's doctor
Well,
squared.
I think that makes it helps you a lot more. For me, it's funny because people will see like a video where I'm like Jonathan and I'm zipping myself up into a duffel bag to go on vacation, and below that it says that this is from a licensed doctor in the U.S. So I don't know if that was the intended purpose of that, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I'm not doing comedy. I mean, the biggest comedy I did was a YouTube short on what, Asians eat as Asian immigrants, right? So we're talking about like eating dog and stuff like that. I made a little short on that,
Yeah.
but that's the extent of it. And people didn't like that. So I just went back to now doing what I'm doing now, which is serious, medical stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's really cool to just see though how far social media can take you. It's like I actually credit my wife. She runs the Glaucomflecken business now. Like she was working, she had a job, day job and everything, and she quit that and just started doing the Glaucomflecken thing. And she's also the kind of strategic mind of what we do. And like if it was up to me, if it was just me doing this, I would just be making like TikToks every so often. Like I wouldn't have a podcast. I wouldn't have we have a newsletter, we're doing the live show. Like her ability to see what's going to take off and how to expand the brand, build it up more and turn it into like a legit business. That's all her. I'm just the pretty face.
She can expand that. She can actually be a consultant for online creators and
Yeah,
charge
no,
a lot of
I
money.
know. We've talked about
And I can be your first customer.
it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
we got a lot of things, and it's expanding it. It's also been about just being able to delegate and bring in people that can further the mission and keep it going, keep growing. And so we have employees now, and we have a production team we work with, and figuring out the agreements between all these entities and speaking agents and stuff. And so it's people. I never want people to think that it's just me. Like it's by far not just me. Like I on the creative side, it's mostly me, but under the behind the scenes, it's a whole team of people that are helping me to put out all this content and do all these things that I think are fun, but also some of it's very beneficial, I think, to medicine and to people and helping them get through a career in medicine and trying to change things for the better if we can.
That's awesome. So, what does a day look like for
What's they
you?
look like?
Yeah, I mean, I know
Well, I'm an
you. Okay, so
ophthalmologist, so
you just had a medical emergency today too, and we had to delay this, right? So I want people
yeah,
to know,
yeah.
what is your day like?
I had a very severe dry eye emergency. I had to deal with. No. So I'm on call right now, actually. So, but a typical day is, I would say, so here's how a week goes. Monday is Glaucomflecken day. So I don't do any ophthalmology. We record podcast episodes. I make videos. Yesterday I filmed 3 different videos. So I had to film two videos for New England Journal of Medicine. So I'm in partnership with them where I'm creating comedic videos out of their trials that they publish. And so I did a couple of those, did a couple of skits. Um, and then have meetings, with potential sponsors or some of the some of the exciting projects that we have coming up. We're working on an animated series based on my characters, and so then some discussions around that. So just like great, it's the best day of the week because I just get to explore and work on these new things and try to bring fun to the world. And then Tuesday, it's back to my real life as an ophthalmologist. So I'm in clinic all day Tuesday. Wednesday is operating day, so I operate and see post-ops. Thursday and Friday, I'm also mostly in clinic, sometimes a little bit of surgery. I go from, leave the house at 7:30, come back around 5:30, and uh, family time after that. So, it's busy. And then, evenings and weekends, yes, I do a lot of traveling still, do a lot of keynotes, get a lot of invitations to speak at different groups, different specialties, not just ophthalmology, which is a lot of fun. I get to see how other specialties do it. And so at some point I'll slow down a little bit, but not quite yet. It's too much fun.
Yeah, keep going, man. I encourage you. If it's fun and you're doing well, keep on going.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. It's with anything, especially if you're going to take on projects or I guess if you want to call it a side gig, do it. But if it's only if it's fun, because it's time. You're trading time for money, with a lot of this stuff. And I didn't even start doing this for the money. I started doing it because it was just fun. I just enjoyed it. I just love to make people laugh. It's nice that it does. It provides a good income at this point, but that wasn't the purpose. And so if you stay true to kind of the reasons you started doing this thing that you like to do so much, that's not a part of medicine, or maybe it is part of medicine, then it'll stay fun for you. You know.
So what's next for you? What's next for Dr. Glaucomflecken? What's the wild journey and the future looks like for you?
We're like I said, I mentioned this animated series. We're trying to get off the ground. We're going to publish that probably in the next few months on YouTube, I would guess, probably on multiple platforms. And then I don't know how we're going to do it because it's very expensive to make an animated show. I don't know if you knew this.
Oh yeah.
Animation it's surprising to me. And so we self-published the pilot episode, which we separated out into 3 different episodes. But we can only afford like 3-minute episodes. So, so the idea, which is fine, because Bluey, there's a popular cartoon called Bluey based out of Australia, and those episodes are like 3 to 4 minutes or something. So we might try to crowdfund it if people really like it and they want to see more of it. We might try to do some kind of like a Kickstarter campaign to try to,
Yeah.
yeah, or see if a network wants to come in and throw a bunch of money at us to make this.
Yeah, you got 5 million followers. I bet you can crowdfund it.
I
That'd be
think I've
awesome.
got enough people that really like animated shows, so that's been taking up quite a bit of time, and we're very excited about that. Beyond that, we are looking at um, trying to we're building a social media course, I would say, that's geared toward like residency programs, fellowship programs, people that are um, that have or organizations that have a lot of young physicians to for a couple of reasons to help teach everyone how to use social media safely, why to use it, the benefits of it with regard to advocacy, with regard to personal well-being, Just basically trying to distill a lot of the things that I've learned in doing this for quite a while, but also making it funny, obviously, because I can't put out anything else that tries to make people laugh. So we're kind of putting that together as well, and so we have some projects, and then in the meantime, still making skits.
That's awesome. And what kind of surgeries do you do typically on your surgical days?
I'm just cataracts. I'm just crank out the cataracts, man. I'm not doing anything
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, me too. No, me
I,
too. I mean, everyone gets a cataract, right? I mean,
there's
everyone
no,
gets one.
you're never gonna run out of cataracts, and it's great being a comprehensive ophthalmologist. I don't know about you. After residency, I was like, I'm done. I'm no more fellowship, no fellowship, none of that.
I did
And
IPAth.
so, oh, you did? You did a
I,
pathology fellowship? Oh, that's great. But I was like, and so I joined a practice out in Oregon where I could just be surrounded by people who've done fellowships. It's awesome. Like anything that's really hard, I just like, oh,
yeah.
my partner is great at this. It's just, you need to talk to him. Like he's the best in the world. So it's great. I love being a conference of ophthalmology.
Me too. I agree. And I live in a city with good specialists. So if there's a problem, I just pick up the phone and the patient
Yeah,
gets in, with
right.
either that day or within a week, and you look like a hero, right? Because you got
That's
them the
right.
care they need.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. What a great discussion. I felt like it was more, just getting to know you better and just
Absolutely.
chatting about the old days. And I'm going to look forward to seeing you in June as well. And
Yeah, we'll
so,
see you.
yeah, it should be good. Thank you so much. And I'm going to let you go back on call because I know you're super busy. So thank
Yeah.
you again for taking this time.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you like this video, please remember to like, share, and comment. And also remember to hit the subscribe button so that you get notifications of our future videos. Until next time, have a wonderful day.